Yo, it's Mel from Rap Rankings. To hear the full episode this clip comes from and all the other episodes, stop by raprankings.com or search Rap Rankings on your favorite podcast platform.
Our next guest is a staff writer and on-camera presenter for Rolling Stone. Whether it's going birding with everyone from Valet to Jeff Goldblum, breaking news scoops on RollingStone.com, or his new cover story with Lil Baby, you can count on Charles to cover the complexity of the modern rapper's spirit and how American pop culture invigorates the heart. Before joining Rolling Stone, he had pieces published in such outlets as Billboard, Complex, and MTV News. Before that, however, Mr. Holmes was known colloquially to many on rap Twitter as Otter God. A renowned troll, along with his brother Dan, known collectively as the Otter Bros. Charles brought some much-needed chaos to the timeline with takes hot enough to cause even the most stoic and battle-tested hip-hop head third-degree burns. Please, give a warm Rap Rankings welcome to our friend, Charles Holmes.
Jeez, that was wow. Man, Funk Flex would be proud, bro. Like, I'm honored.
That's called motherfucking bars, nigga. You know nothing about that.
It is a pleasure to have you here. It's actually the first time we've ever actually spoken face to face, basically.
Yeah, man, it's weird. You have a radio presenter voice. I was not expecting it. It's such a good talent.
Hey, I appreciate it, bro. Yeah, me and Charles, who I really know him as Otter, go back on Twitter till, I don't know, like 2014, 2015 we started talking.
Yeah, the dark ages.
Yeah, the dark ages. Okay, this was pre-bylines. This was just, like I said, Charles and his brother causing chaos on the timeline, and I was all for it.
I feel like my career in many ways is similar to Drake. You get rich, you get fat off success, you're not touching the people anymore, It's rough.
Well, I'm plenty touched as the people. But we'll get into that. I'm plenty touched, but I want to say it's nice to meet you. I've seen you around rap Twitter, and I'll say this: knowing your name is Charles is good because this gives me the opportunity to overwrite the Charles that currently occupies that space in my brain.
Don't do it. Don't press the drop.
I just press the drop. You said?
I said don't press the drop.
So press the drop.
Do what you got. Just
Charles Hamilton.
Oh, jeez.
Okay, so it's nice to you are. I'm thankful for your existence because now I can hopefully replace the Charles that's in my brain with thoughts of a better Charles. So it's nice to meet you. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you, man, and shouts out to Charles Hamilton. While I could not get into his Sonic fascination as a child, I hope he's doing well in the world.
I wish I had good news for you, Charles.
I wish I had good news, but that's not why we're here today. But I'm sure he appreciates the well wishes regardless.
I think he's doing better than some people are doing. How about that?
That's all you can ask for. That's all you can ask for.
He's not doing the worst out of everyone I could possibly think of at this moment.
Best of love to him. Best of love. Did I just make up a new phrase? What in the world?
Best of love.
We got best of love shirts coming soon, guys. Next week when we get the new shirts up on the store, you guys are gonna love the best of love shirts and dad hats.
All right, man. So I'm excited to be in the presence of anyone who would want to come and talk Drake. If there's one thing in this world that I love doing, it's talking Drake.
We know.
Yeah, I have a whole report actually on this show. I'm not sure how familiar you are with this show, but I host the Drake Report. It's a weekly dispatch.
Well, you sometimes host it. I host it sometimes too.
Yeah, when he does his hostile takeovers, but it's usually like 5 to 500 minutes, and it's just filling in the world on the goings on of Drake. So
honestly, it's what the world needs.
That's what I've been saying, man. It's what the world needs.
I don't really think people realize just how low key Drake is. He really doesn't give us a lot to chew over. So
he doesn't.
So we got to keep the world updated.
That's right. But yeah,
right,
speaking of updates,
Mel,
that's
you have
what
an
we're
ally
here
now on the show, so I'm outnumbered now.
Yep. How does it feel?
Charles, did your brother happen to prepare a statement for you?
He did not, yo. Like he downloaded Animal Crossing, and the only thing he'll call me on the phone for is just to talk Animal Crossing. He's useless in that regard.
I am truly outnumbered. Dan, you owe me one. I am outnumbered here on this Take Care review. But Mel, why don't you explain to Charles how we rate the songs before we get into headlines?
Yeah, sure. So, we're here to do track 3, Headlines on Take Care. Charles or Mr. Otter, however you prefer to be addressed, we have this rating system here on the show. It's pretty simple. It's a numbered scale, 1 to 10. Each number corresponds to a description. So, in short, it's like this. 10 means it's a perfect song to you, one of your favorite songs of all time. 9 means you love it. 8 means you like it a lot. 7 means you like it. 6 means it's aight. You don't dislike it, but you can't say that you like it. 5 means you feel practically nothing about it. 4 means it's not the worst thing you've ever heard, but you dislike it. 3 means you dislike it. 2 means you hate it. And 1 means you absolutely can't stand it. One of the worst things you've ever heard.
Ooh, okay.
That's pretty much it. So, I can go over that again if you don't have a number in mind.
Oh, I have a number in mind. You know what the number is.
All right. Yeah. So here's what's crazy. We usually record these guest spots for the rest of the episode, so I'm kind of like it's dawning on me now. It's finally setting in that my day has come. We're finally talking Drake at length with preparation, because we did the Dark Lane demo tapes drop, but that's part of our new album review series where it's off the cuff. We listen once,
literally
and
a first listen. So
yeah.
You just get those initial impressions out there, but this is 9 years of marinating that this album has been doing.
Marinating on greatness, just seasoning, getting all them juices percolating.
I don't know about marinating in greatness. It's certainly been marinating in something, though.
All right. Well, we're about to get to that. So, look, I'm so ready. Whoever wants to kick it off with their rating first.
I like letting the guests go first unless they want one of us to go first.
Word.
Headlines is a 10. It's perfect.
Yes, that is what I like to hear. That is what I like.
Woo. Yeah, it's a top 5 Drake song, Headlines, man.
Wow.
Look, yo, Charles got to it, bro.
Real fucking quick, nigga.
We're here now. Moles, you can't pull any of these shenanigans anymore.
What shenanigans?
Okay, you're going to start respecting this man, this great Canadian, as the great artist he is. It's time. You can no longer duck
What
this.
is this? The hardest? What
I said artist, not the hardest.
But he is also the hardest if we listen to Headlines, okay? You don't want to make him catch a body like that, all right? Woo.
Oh, yeah, listen. We finna talk about it. But, so Charles has got a 10. Moles, do you want to go next? Or
I'll go next. Whatever you want. I'll go next. You go next. Whatever you want to do.
Well, I sense that you're about to hate, so I'll go next. I give the song an 8+. So a strong 8. I like it a lot.
Oof.
Yeah. So, that's where I'm at with it. So what about you?
So we got a 10 and an 8+.
Yeah.
On Headlines by Drake.
Mm-hmm.
Listen, I live in my truth. I live in a temple of truth.
We wouldn't have it any other way.
That's me cracking my neck. And in living in a temple of truth, you sometimes have to deal with unpopular truths that maybe are unpopular to yourself, like how Headlines is a 7+.
Wow.
Ooh, I wasn't expecting that. I wasn't expecting such a strong score. Wow.
Same actually. I thought you might front on this one, but it's okay. So you do like it.
I do like
Strong
it.
7.
I liked it more in the past, but I still like it.
Okay, cool.
It hasn't gotten better for me. In fact, it's gotten a little worse. I'll tell you why. But I still like it, bordering on really liking it, but just I think I'm fine with just liking it strongly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, so here's what you said is interesting. Like you say it didn't get better. I'll say, and I'm going to get into it. It's not like it got better for me. Mm-hmm. It's just as I got further away from it as a big song and a single and everything, I found a different level of appreciation for it in the context of his career, you know, on a macro level. Like I've always liked the song, so I've always liked it. But I think probably for most of my life, it's been like a strong 7 or like a light 8. But now it's at the point where I like it a lot. It's bordering on me loving it because of what it now means to me in terms of everything else that's going on in his career and what it meant for that moment in time. So here's the thing. I usually, when it comes to these song reviews, I usually like to start with the music itself before I get into the content, but I want to start with the content here. So I'm gonna just do this little spiel real quick, and I'll pass the floor. So here's the thing: yes or no, Drake has always been personal and self-aware. He's built a cult of personality through his music.
Absolutely.
You know, what makes this record special to me is that it's happening on a single. This was the lead single. You know?
Yeah, it was the first single, right?
Yeah, because Marvin's Room wasn't released as an official single. It became a single after the fact. But here's the thing. He basically, this Headlines, bro, he released a diary page about his current state and position in the rap game to the radio and was like, here, this is the single. And it worked. The content rewarded people who bought into the cult of personality and had been following his journey feverishly. And it also works on just a pop level with the melody and the beat, which ended up adding new people to the cult.
That's the thing. So his previous lead single was Over.
Right. And I was getting there because this isn't the first time he's done this.
So to me, where I'm at with this song at this moment is he took all the lessons he learned from putting out Over on the last album and he applied them to this. Whereas like Over, the bars didn't really have any melody to them. It was just rapping. And the chorus was unnecessarily verbose. Whereas, you know, this chorus is a lot smoother, catchier, simpler.
Yeah.
And we'll get into the music soon, but that's where I'm at with it right now, is that this was patched over.
Yeah, I mean, I agree because, you know, basically the first time he did this like conversational therapeutic first single with Over, it came off a little clunkier, admittedly. Although I do like Over. Spoiler for whenever we do Thank Me Later.
Over is a 0, but that's a talk for another
Listen,
day.
and you know what? I respect that.
Over sucks,
I respect that because I had to eventually accept that I like Over.
I've never been able to accept I liked it because I've never liked it, and the crazy part is that every time I listen to Over, it's a new chance to like it, and it hasn't happened yet.
Word. I mean, look, I like it. I don't like it nearly as much as Headlines, but I do like it. I admit that. But here's the thing. This time, he nailed it.
But here's the thing with Headlines. Do we have rose-colored glasses? Because, like, I remember, like, Headlines was not, like, a runaway success. Like, I remember, like Big Ghost, I think, and like Charlemagne the God, and like everyone like fucking roasting the song to oblivion.
I recall. Yeah,
but Charles, you want to know something funny? At the same time, I remember Sean Price tweeting how much he loved Drake around this time and tweeting, they know.
Wow. Okay, so, fair.
You know, like, I remember at this time, like, Erykah Badu was very vocal about how she liked Drake and this song, and so was Sean Price. So, I mean, I'm sure he had his detractors and his supporters, but...
Well, this to me seemed like if we wanted to do the kind of, like, trajectory, I feel like Over, I would say Headlines, and then started from the bottom, all first singles from those first 3 albums have in common, it's like Drake is trying to see how far he can push, like, the line in the sand about lying about his narrative in his life and how much people will, like, buy into it. And
hold on, wait. You said something interesting there. You are implying here that he lies.
I think it's literally like
his dad said he lied, bro.
But we know his dad is an unreliable source.
Wait, no, Drake says in headlines. This is why I picked this song. Like, it's his thesis statement. He's like, I exaggerated things, and now I got it like that. That's true. Drake's whole fucking career in a nutshell. So when like Starting From the Bottom came out, you don't get Started From the Bottom without headlines, because when he started saying he was like gonna catch bodies and he was in the video with all of these gangsters, like nobody was really like, oh fuck, like we really gotta pull Drake's card. Everybody's like, it's kind of a great song, who gives a fuck? So I do think this is like this time when it's like without headlines. I don't think you get, if you're reading this too late, I don't think you get like mafioso Drake. You don't get any of that shit, you know?
Well, I remember when like the whole controversy behind You Gonna Make Me Catch a Body Like That. I remember a lot of people checking him. It's like, oh, you soft. Like, why are you all letting him say this and like look like a tough guy in the video? Whole time I'm like, bro, are we really going to be dense about this? Like, are they really going to be dense? Like, he's not talking about actually catching a body. Bro, like, hold on. I got notes about this because I've been wanting to address this for so long now. Where's this thing at? Where are my notes about catching a body? Here's the thing. I'll skip ahead because I had like a whole like step by step. So the lines, that they ain't even got it like that. You gonna hype me up and make me catch a body like that because I live for this. It isn't just a hobby like that. Listen, I love when Drake tells the truth, the cut and dry, statistical, quantifiable truth of the matter, the truth you don't like and you hate and you have to deal with. Things sting more when they're true. It's better when it's true. And here's the thing. The truth is Drake is at the top of the rap game for multiple reasons, but it's true. It's true. That they ain't even got it like that. He has a certain grasp and understanding on what it takes to position himself and stay where he's positioned at the top of the rap game. And it also reminds me of a line like on the language. I got to kill off the weak shit that's got all you niggas excited. Because here's the thing. You hear lines like that from Drake and people's like first impulse is like, oh, he's the Jewish mulatto Canadian Degrassi guy. But it's like, bro, it's not that deep.
But here's the thing, I disagree, because I think Drake is so much smarter than that. Drake knows that him saying, you're going to hype me up and make me catch a body like that will work in a way it will not work if like Joe Budden said the same fucking thing.
Oh, no, definitely.
You know what I'm saying? And it's like the same thing when was Started From the Bottom. It's the same thing when he was threatening to run up in Into Cash Money, like where's the check, threatening like Birdman and fucking Slim, allegedly all this shit. Like, I think he's smart enough to know that like we care so much more when Drake decides to act like a mob boss, because it's the same thing with Ross. As long as the fucking music's good, we don't care. And I would honestly say it's far more entertaining. Like if Jay-Z said half the shit Drake said, I'd be like, all right, fine, it's just another Jay-Z bar. When Drake says it, I'm like, here, I'm there, I'm invested.
Well, and this is the thing about Drake. Drake is one of the most combed over rappers in history because everything he says is going to be dealt with in intense scrutiny from all of his detractors. So every word is analyzed, every single statement is contorted so that it can fit someone's agenda about how they feel about Drake, right? And when he says stuff like that, or he wears the fucking gloves in the music video, the point of the matter is really, ultimately, to get those people talking. You want to get the detractors talking. The people who don't care about this, like, anyone who's caught up on the authenticity of his statements is going to pick apart the authenticity of his statements. Anyone who's not is going to enjoy the music, and regardless of, the implications that he's making, or if they hold any water or not.
No, absolutely. And I think like Drake
it's again, to play back into what you were saying about Drake being one of the most self-aware artists of all time, he's so innately tapped into how he's perceived. Every decision that's made, I think, is made with two minds. One mind for, the general public, the audience, the fan base, if you will, and the other mind for the haters, actually.
But see, would you guys say that, like, for me, Headlines was interesting because it was at a point where Drake, like, absolutely could have failed. Like, this single and him, like, kind of talking his shit, like really leaning into being kind of the villain to Ye, to Jay, to all these people could have failed. And each subsequent time he's done headlines, like, or a song like this, I've gotten less invested because I'm like, well, you're on top now. Like, there's that tension is no longer there. And on headlines, it's a song filled with tension of like, hey, we could all turn on Drake at any moment.
That's true. I mean, there was that moment with, you know, Drake on I'm On One where he says, I feel like the throne is for the taking. Watch me take it. And, you know, at the time, I was like full on like anything, Wayne, Drake, any like YMCMB, I'm all in on that shit right now. So, you know, 2011, are you kidding me? So when he's talking like that, at this time, musically, I'm feeling Drake more than I'm feeling Kanye, Jay, Big Sean. So this is 2011. Like, I'm not the biggest Beautiful Twisted Fantasy fan in the world, for the record. So, or Watch the Throne for that matter. So I'm looking at like what they're doing, and I'm looking at what Drake and Wayne are doing, and I'm thinking like, nah, I'm with the right team. But it could have gone left real quick because really Jay and Kanye had a lot more power than, even though Wayne was coming off the success of the Carter 3 and he was able to bring Drake in, this was kind of this was the moment that it was going to either tip one way or another. I agree with you there.
You know, I think it's I want to point out something you said, Charles, where you find it, I get this too, like that you find it less interesting with each successive like headlines-esque release. You get less invested because it's like you're already on top now. On the contrary, with me, I find myself getting more invested because this is the first time we've seen something exactly like this. Rappers aren't supposed to be on top for this long. So it gets more interesting to me because it's like, yo, he's been holding this position longer than most people. Most rappers get, like, when they get their hot run, it's like, it's a few years. He got a whole decade and just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So I'm even more tapped in because I'm like, yo, where is this going? We've never seen anything like this before. Rappers are supposed to get, either they fall off themselves or the people try to drag them off the mountain. And they have been trying. They absolutely have been trying.
I don't know if I believe that. I feel like we've seen this. I feel like Drake in his success is closer to like an Eminem at this point than he is a Kanye, where it's just like.
But here's the thing about Eminem. Like, as far as the public adoration or like critical response to him, he's like that time has passed. Like, well, Eminem's heyday was like 99 to 2004.
It's crazy, but
Eminem had a straight decade where, like, even if like rap fans were kind of like it was still, he was so dominant for so long, and like the quality was besides the point. And I think Drake now in his success is like, it's a different level of success. I don't even like compare him to like rappers anymore. Nobody really does anymore. But I do think like this is the first time where it's just like, I would say like Dark Lane Demo Tapes has a bunch of kind of like headlines-esque moments, and they're not connecting anymore because people are like, what happens when the biggest, most successful person still feels persecuted? It's just like, it stops being as interesting. And I think that's why he's having so much trouble now, because it's like, who is Drake competing against? He's competing against himself. It's like the same thing that was happening with Jay around Kingdom Come.
And that's the most interesting thing in the world to me, not just as an Aubrey's Angel, which I am, I'm a card carrying member, but just in general, I find it interesting when people at the top are struggling to maintain that. When their biggest competition is themselves, I feel like that's when we start getting some of the most interesting or you know, engrossing, compelling stuff, because it's like, yo, this is Drake versus Drake. I've been saying this for years. After he survived the Meek debacle, the Pusha T thing, it's more and more clear to me that the only person that can kill him is himself, which is why this is so interesting to me. Because I don't want that moment to come, but it's like I'm on edge because I'm like, when is that coming? Because clearly no one else can do it. Not another rapper. Not
I think it's already
narrative.
Come, though. It's already come. If you
I don't think so.
It.
I actually think with this next album, we'll know for sure.
No,
because I know a lot of people are like, "Oh, he went number 2 with the Dark Lane." That was Kenny Chesney and his bundle bull. You know,
no. But even if we look at this year, just the numbers, whether it's The Weeknd, whether it's Lil Baby, whether it's Uzi, I do think that we're seeing for the first time this weird vacuum year for Drake where he released a lot of music. He released at least 2 albums worth of music now, and he's not the center of rap. Even if like he's still doing well pop-wise, I even think he's realizing like, how do I keep up with a world that is past me now? He is 33. He is not keeping up with Baby. He's not keeping up with Uzi, just in my opinion, in that relevance bracket that he cherishes. That's what Drake has wanted his whole career. I truly believe he's always wanted people to talk about him in that rap Twitter, I hate him, I love him type way. And I think he is so omnipresent and so popular now that some people are like, it's good, new Drake is good, and then they just go on to the next thing.
I don't know. I see people every day just as
but you're on the Drake stan forums
like it was 2011. No, I'm talking about Twitter, not Kanye. Twitter.
I don't look at the new Khaled singles. I liked one of the Khaled singles, but it didn't have there wasn't to me the arguing, the rapturous reception, the back and forth. Is this good? Is it bad? Like there were some memes, there were some jokes, but it was nowhere near even Scorpion levels. You know what I'm saying? Like it's not.
Well, you know what though? I'm gonna say this, and you might disagree. It's a pandemic thing, you know. The boys' material isn't gonna hit the same when people are trying to duck and dodge viruses. You know, it's not gonna be the same kind of thing.
So what's Lil Uzi Vert's? Like, are we going to give him the excuse? What's Lil Baby's
stuff? Well, here's the thing. His stuff dropped like right before things really popped off. And here's the thing about Uzi and Lil Baby. I like Uzi. I don't really care for Lil Baby. Here's the thing with those guys, though. And I could be wrong. Only time will tell. But yeah, they could be hot now or relevant now or people care about them now and you know, are discussing them much more than they would be discussing Drake like they used to in the past. But like, I don't see them having the same longevity as him.
But are we having a longevity conversation, or are we having now this conversation of like headlines was the start of kind of Drake's 10-year run of being the villain, of being the biggest guy that no one could take out? And I do think that like we're seeing this year, and I find it fascinating because I'm a super Drake fan. I'm like, oh, for the first time really in your career, like things are not landing your way, I think critically. Or even commercially.
He's critically never been a darling. But yeah, commercially now it's starting to look shaky, which is why I'm waiting on this next album to see. I fully don't expect it to do Scorpion numbers, which a lot of people will look at as a failure. It's like, okay, the decline is officially started.
If it's not a double album, it's almost guaranteed to not do those numbers, especially if it doesn't produce a number one.
Oh, I think the album will be commercially fine because it's Drake. What I'm more interested in is Drake not only capable of doing another God's Plan and having that long of a run with a song, or is he even interested in it anymore? Because like the Heady One freestyle or the Chicago freestyle or whatever, all these songs, it doesn't even seem like he's interested in pop as much anymore. I don't even know what he's interested in anymore. It's a very weird time for him.
That's why I'm looking forward to this album so much. But, you know, well, here's the thing. So to bring this all back
hold on. I want to rebuttal something that you said before you get on another plane of thought. You said that sometimes when artists get to the point where they're battling themselves, they make their most interesting material. I feel like I couldn't disagree with that statement more. When Watch the Throne came out and it was all like a celebration of wealth and success, that album landed badly with a certain audience. I recall Dart Adams, a friend of the show, he was very unhappy with that album. And a lot of people felt like, you know, like this is like Kanye and Jay basically just rubbing in our faces how poor we are. And, you know, they're just flaunting their wealth. Or T.I. versus T.I.P. or Wayne conquering rap with Carter 3 and then coming back with, you know, Rebirth and Carter 4. And like, you know, sometimes when an artist is like at their peak and then it's right after their peak and they're just battling themselves, I feel like you get some of the most uninspired material. Encore by Eminem. I mean, you know, the list goes on.
I agree. Yeah. I agree. I'm not saying they make their most successful work. This is why I'm interested, because usually they fail. And Drake has managed to topple just about every bit of opposition that's been placed in front of him. So that's why I'm like, I gotta see if he can beat this too.
There's one more thing I disagree with you with, and it kind of plays back into what Charles was saying. I don't think Drake is going to get taken out by another rapper. I think what Drake is ultimately going to get
I agree. That's what I was
taken out by is not himself either, i.e. like whether it's, a public scandal that he may become embroiled in or something like that. I think it potentially could be, the quote-unquote death of Drake, which, obviously if he put out an album for 20 years from now, every year for the next 20 years, he'd still sell something. It's not like he would be doing, he'd be going copper or anything like that. But what I'm saying is, what if public apathy is ultimately what takes him out?
But they've been threatening him with that for years. They swear they don't care. And yet he just gets bigger and bigger and bigger.
But I actually think that like there's something to that apathy thing where it's just like, to me personally, I think why I'm actually interested in this next phase for Drake is because when he's had such a long run, a 10-year run, an Eminem type run, even like a Jay type run, I do think there's a sense of like apathy of like, we're so spoiled with Drake. Like every year or every year and a half, we got a new Drake album and it was of quality. It's gotten to this point where it's like a Spielberg film. It's like, all right, like, okay, does anybody want to go see Tintin? Not really. Like that's not taking away from Drake's talent, but I do think there is something to say about when someone is so good and so omnipresent for so long, I think we all kind of get like oh yeah, of course it's good. Drake is always good. Versus like, I would actually like to see what does a bad Drake album sound like? What does a Drake album with risk sound like? But I don't even know at this point if he can do that. I don't even think the system would allow him to do that.
I've kind of accepted that the risks that I would like him to take, and the risks that I guess other people like him to take are probably never going to come.
No.
Because he said as much himself that through different songs, different bars, different little, lyrics and statements, like he's concerned with maintaining a certain level of, accessibility. He wants to keep this run going for as long as possible. Drake he likes being a winner. And I don't think he's at this point, now that he's won probably far beyond his wildest dreams, he doesn't want to disturb that.
But is he going to be like a 50 Cent where if he has like 2 duds in a row sales wise, he's just not going to put out albums anymore?
I could see that happening. I don't see him just like Eminem, for example. It's like that last Relapse CD was, it's like every album he's apologizing for the last album. I think Drake is the kind of guy where if he really senses that it's over for him, he'd rather just bow out. Because we know he's a student of the game too. He's seen other rappers before him like not be able to let go and keep trying to claw their way back to where they were. If he finally feels like, all right, they've moved on, I think he's going to leave.
I don't think so. I
don't know. We'll see.
Because like you have to realize, I think with Drake also, I don't think he's comparable to like a 50 Cent because I do think like Drake is just too good of a musician where I do feel like worst case scenario, even if he dropped a dud, like he's still a great writer. He can always write himself out of a box. I think what I'm more so arguing for is just like, sometimes the way to win is doing the riskier thing. Like, as much as like I don't want to talk about Kanye right now, like there's a reason like we're still putting up with Kanye's bullshit. It's because like people still want to argue about whether Yeezus or 808s are trash or not. And that was
I don't
like
but with that guy.
There's a whole but I do think there's a whole.
But no, I do see that.
You know what I'm saying?
You're right.
Well, yeah. But here's the thing: Yeezus all summer long, it was a conversation in 2013. The conversation was, how do you feel about Yeezus? Nobody has asked me what I think about Dark Lane demo tapes.
No.
When we did the first listen review, number one, it's our lowest played Rap Rankings episode of all time. So, I mean, that is, just in a microcosm is kind of odd to me.
You bring that up often, but I've never actually shared why I think that's the case.
But also, on another note, is that I know, Mel, you gave Dark Lane demo tapes a 14 out of 14 and the check came in the mail.
I didn't get a check. I didn't get a check. You know my story. I tried to go to the gates of Calabasas and said, I'm here for Aubrey, and they told us to turn around and leave.
Yeah, listen,
this is a true story. I'm not on the payroll.
We know as much as I like to be. The check came in the mail. You gave it the 14 out of 14.
I like all the songs. There was nothing to dislike.
A 7 out of 14. Such a respectable, like a nice, respectable rating on Dark Lane demo tapes. A 7 out of 14 because it's demo tapes. So
I'm not going to apologize for liking the demo tapes.
A 14 out of 14?
I liked all the songs. I liked them all.
See.
Dog, I'm one of Aubrey's angels, and even I couldn't look Aubrey in the face and just be like, yes, Dark Lane demo tapes was perfect.
You got to get off those Discords, Mel. They're twisting up your mind.
No, they're not. Because I just started. Listen. All right, look. Okay, because this is what we need to talk about. Because this is quickly turning into a Drake, a Drake personality thing, a Drake career retrospective. Headlines,
we're hanging with Charles. It's a Drake symposium, I like to call it.
Yes, it is. But it definitely is. But here's the thing. Look, headlines. Let me start here because I haven't even gotten into the content yet. And this fits into what we've been saying. Bro, verse 1. I might be too strung out on compliments, overdosed on confidence. Started not to give a fuck and stop fearing the consequence. Drinking every night. You all know the lyrics. You know how it goes. He's almost talking to himself while talking to us, addressing that Thank Me Later had people worried he lost the magic of So Far Gone and some of the mixtape tracks. And at that point, although the recent string of loose songs, Dreams Money Can Buy, Free Spirit, Club Paradise, had seemingly restored faith, he's acknowledging his own feeling of being drunk off success. And then he caps it with a rededication to his approach when he says, and they saying I'm back. I'd agree with that. I just take my time with all this shit. I still believe in that. That's a rededication to the approach and meticulous process prior to Thank Me Later, which is the obligatory industry statement album. And look, I just take my time with all this shit. I still believe in that. Take care. He's taking care, bro.
This whole verse,
this time.
Put my napkin in my shirt, all that stuff.
I'm getting there.
I'm
getting there.
This whole verse is interesting to me because when it's, like when you're a little kid and you'd put on like your dad's clothes and they're oversized.
Oh, come on.
So I feel like he's talking, especially on the first verse, like he already is the biggest rapper in the world. He's not yet.
He's not yet. But we'll talk about this in the rest of the review, but this marked a switch for him where it's like, you know what, I'm gonna chill on like the kind of timid, reluctant, like, yo, I can't believe I'm here, and actually try to stake my claim this time around.
Exactly. And to me, like Charles's point earlier, where it's like this was the tipping point for Drake. This was either going to be, you're going to either come out of this album as the biggest rapper in the world, or you're about to just be one of these internet dudes,
Right, which is what I was saying earlier when I think this was like a really audacious choice as a single, because he basically tried over again. Let me basically vent to you about my life on the single, and I hope it works. And it did, because this had a lot more of a pop sensibility this time around. But here's the thing. After like talking to himself and sort of addressing everything, he transitions to speaking directly to us with the part about, I know I exaggerated things. Now I got it like that. Tuck my napkin in my shirt because I'm just mobbing like that. All that. All of that meaning, stop playing with me. It's King Slime Drizzy now. I've arrived. Bro, I remember, to harken back to earlier, everyone got in a tizzy over him talking about bodies being caught by him and his crew. They were so offended, so triggered. Big Ghost and, oh, he's soft. I can't believe he's saying this. Now look, they see how they got Kanye out here wild and losing his mind. They understand he's been moving with gully men from time. And they were being mad dense, acting like him saying he was going to catch a body was about literally catching one and not about just dunning off all the waste man rappers by making better songs.
Just like how Kendrick said,
they do this with Drake.
Mac
they
Miller,
love to be obtuse with Drake. Okay,
but
to what Charles said though,
classic,
Drake is
right?
aware enough. But what Charles was saying, Drake is aware enough to know that they are going to perceive it that way, and to know that that's going to be interpreted a certain way coming from him, the soft Canadian Jewish mulatto rapper. with the supposedly privileged upbringing.
But that's the funny thing about the whole Kendrick thing with, what was it, Control, because he said he's going to murder everybody, and he named them by name. He literally listed off a bunch of people's names, including Drake. And nobody was checking his credentials to see if he, like, oh, is he really about it? Is he really going to go murder these people?
Well, it's probably because Kendrick spends, like, that early part of his career talking about, if I told you I killed a nigga at 16, like, he's trying to tell us he murdered somebody, like, without telling us he murdered somebody all the time. And plus being from Compton, there's that different air of credibility, so it's just like, people aren't going to question him as much as Drake.
The funny thing is that, it's just Drake gets the hyper scrutiny that others don't get. Mm-hmm. That's always been, the thing with Drake, is that he gets a certain standard applied to him. And I suppose if you're going to be the biggest rapper in the world, that's that comes with that level of scrutiny. But I do want to touch on something here on this headlines. Do you like the music here overall? Okay, so all right, I'm not done with the content, but let's transition to the music because you brought it up. So here's the thing with the music. For me, the two defining characteristics of the music are as follows. There's the unorthodox, pretty unique drum pattern. The kick drum, and this is a single. This is a rap single, mind you. The lead single of your sophomore album, which is like the make or break album for a lot of artists. We got this kick drum in here that's like occupying, I believe it's like a 1/3 note space. It's like, it's do. Like it's pretty, you don't usually, it's usually it's a more conventional, structured, rigid type of beat or kick drum you're gonna hear in a rap song. This kick drum is kind of like skittery and doing weird things. We got like this kingly parade arrangement, the do horns, these like rolling snares, this like full growling bass line, like when the chorus comes in, like it's triumph. I do like the music here.
But I think like the music, the one reason I do like it is because, like, even though some parts of it can seem goofy now, back then, if we take it back to like what you were saying about Kendrick and Compton, people not checking him because we know what Compton is. Like, we didn't know what Toronto really, really was. There was no, like, American audiences weren't like, oh, that Toronto. And I think the music here is kind of like weird and triumphant, but it's also a little dark. It's also kind of like you can't really place it down. And I think when you see the colors that they chose in the music video to go back, that like you see like Drake trying whole cloth to make Toronto a respectable city that has the menace that you need to like kind of be cool in hip hop, but also has the musicality to go in the pop space. It's something that The Weeknd would run with, Nav would run with, all these people would run with. So while it's not, Headlines isn't perfect, from a musical standpoint, I do think that him going against the grain for that first single kind of opened us to the window of like, all right, this is what he's trying to say about his city that no one has really said as well before.
Yeah, and I think that goes for the album as a whole too. Like, this was really about, carving out his sound and moving away from like the Thank Me Later industry expectations back towards like So Far Gone. Let me keep pushing this further and establishing this as my thing,
right. And almost no one else let me really make a major label with, studio polish and original music version of So Far Gone, basically, with this album. But here's what I think about this music, because I think it's interesting that this beat, in a lot of ways, has the DNA of a Lil Wayne beat from this era. It sounds that dun 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 sounds almost like gonorrhea from I Am Not a Human Being.
The song, not the disease, folks.
Yeah. There's elements of this beat that are just like the exact kind of stuff that Wayne and Nicki were rapping over at this time, kind of like in-house YMCMB production. But it's elevated slightly because Noah 40 is in there, and what he adds to this, to me, makes it a little more musically interesting than early 2010s Young Money music, which
I got something
very well
you.
Could have been, but with that piano, and then the low passing that he does into it. Like, there's certain things that get added into this beat that flesh it out a little bit more than something that you would have heard on Carter 4 or I Am Not a Human Being or We Are Young Money Volume 1. Like, it feels like it's in that spirit, but more fully realized.
Do we feel like the strings aged well? Because I love them, but it also, the strings, I'm like, dog, this was definitely like My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy era, where it's kind of like we add a little bit to get the Pitchfork crowd and, you know, Vulture on our side. And I like love it.
Bordering on maximalist, like, you know.
And like, I love it because, yes, but I do find it very funny now with how like kind of sparse and not that Drake is now, where he's just like, all of his beats now are very simple and very just kind of like, it is what it is. And like this one, I'm like, oh, this is still like the Watch the Throne, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy era of opulence, which is like, has not aged particularly well.
Right.
Yeah,
and
it's
just,
a very early 2010s
general, just
beat.
those sort of like complex arrangements, basically.
Yeah, which is why it probably was not as big of a hit as some of the other songs on the album.
I actually have something here. Moles, I matched you. I know the last review you brought in some DJ Quick stuff. I have an appearance here from 40 on Pensado's place in 2014. Pensado being like a engineer
it's
in the industry.
Audio engineer show on YouTube. It's a good channel.
Yeah, pretty good channel. 40 was on there, and he was talking about Headlines specifically, and I clipped this. It's like a couple minutes, but he talks about the song and what it's supposed to represent and the music itself. So I'm going to play this here right now.
I think I went into like another universe while I was mixing that record. So I tried a couple things, if I remember correctly, even potentially mixing with other mixers and trying someone else to get a pass at it that just didn't end up working. And
what's your friend, your mentor? What's his name?
Gadget.
Yeah, we got to give him a shout out.
Yeah. Oh God, yes. That's my boss right there.
Cool.
That's my guy.
Cool. Yeah.
So I don't believe I gave Headlines to Gadget, but I'd given it to someone else, and the mixes we got back just weren't there, and it lost the anxiety. And I think anxiety was the word for that song that I was trying to achieve. And we'd gone to Jamaica, so we were at G Jam Recording Studios in Jamaica, and they had I didn't really use any of their gear there per se. I think I stayed completely inside the box for that mix because I was on an island and wanted to make sure that I could access these things later if I needed to. And I was having a problem, like it wasn't mixed. It didn't sound like it was mixed, but every time it got mixed, it sounded like it lost everything. And it's just one of those paradoxes. Like, what do? Do you mix it and make the quality better and the bass warmer and the top end cleaner? Or do you just leave it distorted and crunched and messed up and full of artifacts? Because that's what gave it its sound. And as crazy as that seems as an engineer and somebody who cares about quality and the longevity of this product to stand the test of time, it had something from a creative standpoint that you just can't deny. So I literally just gave up and got fed up and went into the studio and was like, I'm doing it, I'm mixing it. And I think I stayed up for a night or two and just mixed it in that little studio in Jamaica and just made it happen. And I knew I was doing things I shouldn't be doing. I knew I was hitting digital reds. I knew I was clipping. I knew bad things were happening. I knew my bottom end really wasn't there because I had way too much going on in the top end. But it just moved. It had the anxiety. It had the feel and the sort of groove. And it's like what you're saying. The distortion ended up being almost an instrument in there. And it's very difficult to achieve that with digital distortion because it was painful for me at times. I was very insecure about that mix. I was terrified.
I can imagine.
The only thing was I felt, and this was the chance that we took. Drake deals with realities. And as an engineer, sometimes you forget about your realities and think about what you know. Oh, you can't do that. Oh, you can't do that. You can't turn 24 dB up at 10K. No way. You can't do that. Well, you can. And the answer is, if it sounds correct, your ears, you're right. And so for that song, we're playing it out of his laptop, man. We're coming back out of MacBooks. And at the end of the day, 99%, not 99%, a big portion of music listeners to this day, or in this day, listen to music for the first time out of laptop speakers. Right. Because they're on a blog or on a website or they're on iTunes and they press the preview button and they hear it out of their laptop speakers. That's their first impression.
That's right.
And at the time with Headlines, that's early in Drake's career, we're making first impressions. So I wanted a song that was going to come out of a laptop speaker off a blog and be like, whoa, what is that? Now, when you plug in an 18-inch sub on it, you're not going to hear much, you know? But the point is that when it hits you out of that laptop, it worked. And that's what Drake wanted, and that was a chance that I took as an engineer to say, you know what? Let me mix this for a goddamn laptop. Let's see what happens. And then, choo, went number one.
Wow.
And it kind of worked on the radio. It was really loud and crunchy, but it worked. It stuck out a bit. And
worked.
Yeah, that's basically it.
It went number one?
Probably on the rap charts, you know.
I don't think it went number one on the Hot 100.
No, it didn't. No, not on the. He didn't get his first number one on the, as we refer to on the show, the real chart, the Billboard Hot 100. I think until One Dance. I think.
Yep.
Hotline Bling got blocked by Adele.
Yeah,
Shout
we
out
know.
to Adele.
We know. It didn't get blocked by Adele. It didn't go number one. It got blocked by Adele. It didn't go number one. There's no such thing as getting blocked. Any song that goes number two, any song that goes number two is not being blocked by number one.
No, not every song is being blocked, but some of them are. They do get blocked.
Stop.
A bigger artist drops, that counts as a block.
It doesn't count as a block.
It counts as a bigger. No, it's a bigger artist. It's a bigger song, a bigger artist. Come on, man. What are you doing?
It's a block.
The one thing I will say,
I'm gonna block you.
The one thing I will say, the funniest thing, when I interviewed 40, and we were like just talking about, I talked to him about headlines and all this other shit, was just does not think about music. He's like, the internet, thinks we're so calculated, and like Drake is doing this for that, and we're not. We're just making music. And I would constantly be like, no, but you guys actually are calculated. And like that Pensado's like place like clip kind of shows me like when he says anxiety, I know he's not talking about.
That's the key word for me.
He's not talking about maybe Drake's career in his mind, but to me, Drake had to say, like, I'm feeling anxious about my place in music.
You are literally leading into my notes right now. I wrote anxiety is the key word I took away. Anxiety is what Drake was probably feeling about wanting to make this fresh impression with his sophomore album, take his time, take care, correct course, let them know what he's on now. Because Thank Me Later was like, it was successful. It debuted at number one. It had big singles, but like people were kind of, iffy about it. And I'm sure he was anxious to wipe that away and show like, yo, like, nah, this is what I'm really about. So yeah, like anxious, it's really telling that that's the word 40 was using.
It's funny that he says the word anxiety. While listening to this song, the beat made like the boom, 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 boom. That makes me anxious. Like there is a certain anxiety to the music itself. Yes. And then they know, that soothes you.
That's so right. That's not, like I got it under control.
It. Exactly. Yeah. It's you're in a state of anxiety, but he's keeping you grounded.
Right. Cause and that also works on that subconscious level where he's like assuring you, no, I'm the guy. Like, it's that he's working on us, like psychologically. It's even like putting that seed in our brain that we know he's the guy. There's nothing to worry about.
But it's also he's doing this psychological thing where it's like even in the lyrics, everything he's saying about the game and about everything that's going around him, he's saying about himself. Like, he's very smart. When he says, like, soap opera rappers, all these niggas sound like all my children, it's very funny because we know he's the soap opera dude. And it was something that he had not really embraced. Like, on other records, once he was the man, he would start talking about his Degrassi days and what it was like. But that was kind of, like, the farthest he would go back then. Yeah. To like just kind of like talk about like, I get what you're saying about me. I get that you guys think I'm soft. I don't care. Fuck you. Like that's why I love headlines, because it's like I feel like he's made better headlines. Like I think something like a Legendary off If You're Reading This Too Late is a better song. But I like headlines because I don't think you get Legendary without headlines.
Yeah, I mean the deal with this is it's in talking right here in this conversation we're having, like I'm realizing that, we got this anxiety here, even in his delivery, matching the anxious music. It's just kind of like I said, he's kind of talking to himself, just like taking inventory, like running off. It's like, oh, I might be too strung out on compliments. I'm overdosed on confidence. Like this is going, and it's like, that's the anxious. But then like the second part of each verse is like, nah, I'm good. I got it like that. My napkins in my shirt. Like I'm good. My people were taken care of. And this is this is the thing that I appreciate. The other part about the song that I appreciate, just to kind of stay on the music for a bit. This song is dope. And the main reason this song worked as a single and as a pop song is he's singing pretty much the whole thing. It sounds like a rap song. It comes off like a rap song, but he's not rapping most of the time. I forgot where it was first pointed out to me. It might have been the same interview that I just played the clip from.
Me, Myself, and All My Millions part where he's rapping.
Right, pretty much. Because here's the thing.
And maybe that opening salvo as well, you know?
Here's the thing. Like, I think this was pointed out to me like years ago, or like I don't remember. It might have been the interview that I just played it from, or it's something I just finally realized. I can't remember. But, you know, for so long, I was thinking about it as a rap song, paying attention to the explicitly sung parts, but I was hardly picking up on how melodic the other parts were. You know, it's like, you know, faded way too long, I'm floating in and out of consciousness, and they saying I'm back. I agree with that. I just take my time. That's singing, you know, and that's what he's so adept at doing and got better and better and better at throughout his career, because it used to be like a really rigid separation between the singing and the rapping, and then it's like really around Nothing Was the Same that the blend got seamless.
Right, when the fusion is happening, that's what he's best at. He's not the greatest rapper of all time.
Right, he's not the god MC.
No one's gonna think he's gonna be the greatest singer of all time either.
Right, he's not a Billy Joel, you know.
Right,
but
it's his ability to meld the two together seamlessly.
Yeah. And make this fresh sort of Drake experience.
I think on this song, he does a very good job of that.
Well, I also think it was like, this is also to me the first song where it's just like his palette of emotions is getting wider. So when he's singing, like it used to be, when I'm singing about love. When I'm rapping about being the best rapper and doing all this shit. Where it's like on Headlines, it's like when he's singing about anxiety. He's going in and out of rapping. He's singing about a different type of emotion. And then he would get better at that as time goes on. But why I think I loved Headlines, because I'm like, all right, he's singing, but it's not it's like not Bree's interlude or some shit. You know what I mean? Like This is him singing about being anxious, which even if he's not like hitting crazy notes, it's still a new thing for him to do.
You know,
well, and to your point earlier, Charles, when this song came out, when you were saying, are we viewing this song with rose-colored glasses? I don't think we are. I personally, I've always enjoyed this song. I do remember when this song came out, though, there was a little bit of a feeling of this ain't it, just because...
That happens seemingly with every Drake lead single.
I think just because the stuff that led up to it, like all those leaks that he was putting out, Club Paradise and Dreams Money Could Buy, I think set people's expectations that, okay, we're going to just get this. This is like, you know, this like almost ambient rap.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't lead off an album and you don't put out a first single that's like Dreams Money Could Buy or Club Paradise.
Right.
It's like that's like a deep cut. That's like an album cut, you know?
Yeah.
Oh, I absolutely agree. I think Dreams Money Can Buy and Club Paradise have, to me, at least aged better than Headlines. But like Headlines to me is still way more fun to listen to. Like this is an actual first single that makes sense for what he had to do. You know?
And I think when he put out Marvin's Room, that was going to satiate the appetite of what people really wanted from him at this time. Take Care, the album, the album cover, the era, if you will, I feel like was a recentering of what brought people to Drake in the first place, which was So Far Gone. And that sort of, you know, of course you get like, you know, Boy Wonder produced on this record as well. You get the bangers and whatnot, but I think what people really wanted from Drake was this pseudo R&B ambient rap music. And this was, you know, when Marvin's Room came out, that was kind of more in line with what he had been giving us prior to Headlines.
Wait, so, am I bugging? Wasn't he supposed to drop an R&B album? Like, wasn't that?
He was going to put out an
was
R&B
talking about that for a
called
while.
It's Never Enough, I believe. And it had the I Get Lonely 2 TLC cover on it. And that was the only record he ever put out from it.
That was supposed to come out. The tape with Ross Yo-O was supposed to come out.
Yeah, that was the R&B was supposed to come out.
The Aaliyah album was supposed to come out.
Yeah, but what about Drake and the Migos?
You know.
But that's so funny because I do feel like the fact that he wanted to do YOLO and he wanted to do the R&B mixtape speaks to how much even then he was still having a lot of trouble, like trying to compartmentalize, like, all right, I need a pop record, I need an R&B record, I need a hard rap record. And I think why Late Take Care is like at some point, I guess he was just like, fuck it, just put it all on. Like, I don't give a fuck. Just put it all.
Yeah, there's that. There's the compartmentalization, and there's also, I think, he was so eager to do all these different things because this was still early enough in his career where I think he was still tapped into the idea of it's like, yo, I'm not a megastar yet. I'm just an artist. I like to create. The bigger he got, the less opportunity and the less safe it was to do things like that. So we didn't hear like, oh, I'm going to do a project with such and such, which is why it was like such a surprise to me when the Future thing happened. But even that in itself was a strategic thing. Future had the hottest 2015 ever.
I mean, and that summer, too, it was just like at its peak with DS2 and everything like that. I mean, Drake wanted to capitalize. And Drake always, to this day, he wants to keep one foot in the street, basically, and make sure that audience is, like, acquainted with him. It's like he'll still, even on Dark Lane demo tapes, he had, what's that guy's name? Like, Fivio?
Fivio Foreign.
Yeah, like he's always, the Heady One thing, like the Drake rapping on like up and coming rappers' songs and putting them on songs is something that still continues to this day.
Yeah, and it's definitely a strategic move, but I also believe Drake he does genuinely care about this stuff, and he likes this stuff and wants to be a part of it. And it always gets perceived more on the strategic side. But I think if you look at his history, he's always wanted to be on the cutting edge and be a part of whatever the conversation is, and has been able to find and see the value in that and lend, his sound to it and make a new thing, I
agree with you, but I think that there's a certain cynicism to it, or at least perceived cynicism.
Yeah, I mean, sure. As with anybody who's trying to maintain success in the music industry, you're going to be making decisions with regard to your career and how it's going to help,
But they were saying the same thing about Jay-Z in the mid-2000s when he was going on like the Go Crazy remix and the Rick Ross Hustlin' remix. They're like, oh, he's trying to jump on all the street records to stay relevant.
But, the thing with that, though, is I think with Jay, it's fair to look at it from a more cynical standpoint because he's not like Drake where he was like making like songs with like indie tinges like on So Far Gone and not, doing certain experimentations.
Whoa, let's not forget Jay-Z and Beyonce going to the Grizzly Bear concert, okay? Like, let's not just sweep this shit on the road.
Something that he probably got from hanging around Kanye. Though, it's like
Jay-Z showing up at the Fish concert. Okay? Listen, every white person in Long Island that I knew who knew I liked rap had to ask me if I heard Jay-Z do 99 Problems at the Fish concert. I said, no, I'm sorry, I haven't heard that. And then they would proceed to play it for me. And it was Jay-Z doing 99 Problems at the Fish concert.
That sounds like literal hell. It
is. It's as bad as you would think it is.
Yeah. Here's something I want to say about the chorus. The they know. I feel like this was a precursor to the whole theme of if you're reading this, it's too late. Because the real is on the rise, fuck them other guys. I even gave them a chance to decide. Now it's something they know. That was basically the same premise as if you're reading this, it's too late. But except by if you're reading this, it's too late, it was actually true. Here, like you were saying earlier, Moles, he was kind of trying to plant that seed and talk himself, like the fake it till you make it sort of thing, speak it into existence. The gap hadn't been widened to this degree yet. So when he's saying all this, like, they're closer than he's actually trying to make it out to be, but he's trying to create that separation on this album.
Well, yeah, now, and listen, Jay wasn't the best rapper alive till he told us to think he was, and Wayne wasn't either.
That's how rap goes, Like, that's how it takes you to put that idea out there. He claimed
he was the king of the South.
Right, and then people start echoing that. Now here's the thing. This is like, I guess, the final part I want to say about as far as the content. So So-called Drake fans, listen up. Mel is gonna massage this crucial info into your feeble head tops because despite this being your so-called favorite Drake album, you've missed the point of the things expressed here still. Let me get off the accent. So verse 2. I be yelling out, money over everything, money on my mind. Then she want to ask why it got so empty. Tell her I apologize, happened over time. She says they missed the old Drake. Girl, don't tempt me. If they don't get it, they'll be over you. That new shit that you got is overdue. You better do what you're supposed to do. I'm like, well, I gotta be all that. But still, I can't deny the fact that it's true. Again, like the first verse, using the first part of the verse to address the headlines, the talk, the narratives, the double standards. And it's the worry that he lost the introspection and vulnerability that made him stand out with so far gone in the stuff before. He's aware. The boy knows, bro. The six God's always watching. He always knows. Only to say this on the second half of the verse. Listening to you expressing all them feelings, soap opera rappers, all these niggas sound like all my children. And that's who you thinking is about to come and make a killing? I guess it really is just me, myself, and all my millions. Basically, to loop it all back to the start, I guess it really is just me, myself, and all my millions is countering the rebuke of I be yelling out money over everything, money on my mind. Then she want to ask why I got so empty. It got so empty, girl, because it ain't no competition. That's why it got so empty. And to that point, I want to say this. Headlines, I realized from combing it like never before, listening to this album over and over in preparation for this review, it's an apology for the future. The song even starts to trail out towards the end with that money over everything, money on my mind, tell him I apologize. He can sense where he's going to have to take it to stay on top, where his life and career is headed. People are mad now about him being a pop star, not making Take Care 2 or whatever people claim to want for him that he's probably already done and given us in bits and pieces because, for better or worse, he's always trying to cover all of his bases. But he already told us what was going to happen. Yeah, he's bigger than ever now. And he seemingly got hit making down to a formula. But what should not be lost and what should be realized is that he's truly never sacrificed the soul of his sound. He's managed to maintain the core of his musical identity for his entire career. You can disagree, but you'd be wrong.
Wait, do you have a takeoff drop of him saying cap real quick?
I do not.
All right, for next time, because the fact
I like this because it proves that some of Poppy's angels are sane.
No, I think you were like 90% of that shit. I was like, I'm on board. I'm like, let's be real. I do think Drake at this point is very far away from the center of where he was, which is fine. Do what you want to do as an artist. I truly don't give a fuck, but I do think that if we want to be real, Drake's new music, it has layers of creatine and fucking protein powder on it. And it's the Heady One freestyle is a perfect example. I love that verse. Drake is not saying anything about anything. And I would say that's most of his music now. It's just it's a bunch of UK slang. It's about how hard it is to be rich, how hard it is to be successful. I do think we're not really getting any introspection. And I do think part of that reason is because when you're a millionaire, what the fuck is there to really be introspective about anymore? His days are all the same. He's been on top forever. His relationships, nobody in his life probably is ever going to tell him. The girl who's telling him to put on Trey songs. Girls are not telling him that anymore. Let's not act like his music has not changed. It has, and which is fine.
No, it's changed. I'm just saying, the very core of it, the soul of it, what makes Drake hasn't been lost.
Yes.
And the thing about the Heady One verse and him not talking about anything, sure. I'm reserving, though, my judgment as far as him having nothing to talk about until this new album comes out. Because usually that's where he places the introspection. Right now, he's on a feature run. He's dropping his Tuesday slides and his greases and his... So I'm that's cool. I like those songs. They're there because they're serving a purpose and a utility, which is to keep his name out there, keep him high, keep him on the charts.
That greases butt cheeks, man.
Ooh, it's such a good song. Grease
a lie. Tell him.
Grease
tell him.
Is a 10 out of
10. We are never reviewing Father of Assad Part 2 on this show.
Dog, that Grease, man. Woo! Woo!
Listen, Moles. As far as your opinion on Grease,
It's okay to be wrong.
it's okay to be wrong, bro. It's a good song. Yeah, but I'm counting on Drake to really, the way he's been talking about this upcoming album, he's been it seems like he's making it a large point to mention like nothing was the same and like trying to go back to that. I'm expecting this album to return to a place of introspection, to get deeper under the surface than he's been, as of late. And
I feel like he can't win. I feel like if he
of course
back to a place of introspection and gets more like quote unquote relatable, he's faking it. If he continues what he's doing, he's staying in the lane. If he does what other people are doing, he's desperate. Like, I feel like there's a rebuttal for every play in his playbook at this moment.
Yeah, it's a time thing for him. I do think actually what Drake won't do is I really do think he has to do the Jay-Z shit where I feel like we literally shit on Jay-Z for a straight decade. So by the time 444 came around, everybody's like, oh my gosh, like Jay-Z's talking that real shit again. Like, it's just like, you got to go through it sometime. Drake is going to have the run of like, we're just going to shit on him. And he can't, like you said, he can't win. Like, at this point, like, it might just be better for him to like duck away for 2 years and make us really, really
That's what
miss
I was saying. I was saying, like, absence makes the heart grow fonder. I don't think he should drop till people are back outside, no masks. They can go back into crowds and go into the clubs, go to the bars, go to live shows. Otherwise, to me, Drake thrives in an environment where people are able to fraternize and socialize. And without that, there's a crucial element of his success that really, I think, hinders on these like gatherings, basically.
Yeah, he's a
social artist.
Yeah, he's a social artist. So in an era where we're socially distanced, I feel like, it presents a new challenge for him in the sense of, this is
Absolutely.
a guy, who is not made for the world that we're in right now. And how long that world lasts is undetermined at this moment.
Oh, I think if Grease was released when people were out in the club, regardless of what you think about it, would have been way better received. It's the same thing with Tootsie Slide. Nobody's trying to do the Tootsie Slide in their fucking house.
And that's the thing. It's like, I'm outside in an AMG. It's like, I'm not outside right now at all.
Wow.
I like it. I like it, but I feel like I'd like it more if the circumstances were different. And he's, at times, I feel like he could be a circumstantial artist because we've never been faced with, like, such an upheaval of our lifestyle while he's been, a popular rapper. So this is the first time that there's been a drastic shift, a true shift, not just in music, not just in like the world and just like really just in day-to-day life. Our routine has changed. So, that kind of changes the game. There's no formula anymore, I don't think, for right now.
Well, that's why I'm saying I'm just excited, just as invested as ever, because this is a new challenge for him. I want to see how he navigates this, like he's navigated all the other ones. Right now, his lifeblood, which is like being the music that is safe to play around anyone and everyone. Everyone likes Drake to some degree. Moment.
I feel like he is supposed to tap into the zeitgeist, and it's hard to do that when his music doesn't square with the zeitgeist right now. So I'm really curious, but I'm a little nervous for him because I feel like he shouldn't drop for like, I don't know, like I wouldn't drop until like the spring of 2021, but that's just me.
Bro, yeah, remember when I was telling you last year, like you were thinking he was going to drop at the end of last year, and I'm like, nah, he needs to wait. He needs to wait until 2020. And now it feels like, yo, the year's a wash. Just push it back to 2020.
Yeah, he doesn't need to drop like him, Drake, getting like the customary Drake summer record just seems so besides the point. I'm like, bro, like we're depressed, bro. Just like keep that shit, man. Like keep that shit for a year. I promise you, like we will love you more for it.
Like the Stan in me wants it, but the guy who wants the even bigger Stan that wants him to protect his career is like, yo, I'm good. You gave us Dark Lane. We got the Khaled records. We got Heady. Like, we're good. You can like save the album until things have, calmed down a bit. Because I don't want this to be the reason that the downfall starts because he forced the album out.
To me, this could just be Dark Lane 2 in the sense that he could put this out, people fuck with it for the weekend that it's out, and then we never hear about it again. I haven't heard one person other than you talk about that project.
Yeah, all right. Listen, the project is good. Okay.
It's okay. Honestly, it's a 7 out of 14. I like half the songs on it.
My closing remarks, honestly, just to wrap it up, to bring it back to headlines, is really like, I'm the girl in the song. You know, I do miss the old Drake. I'm tempting him right now. So, you know, drop that R&B record.
Drop Take Care 2?
Oh, no, fuck Take Care 2. Jeez. Like, why the fuck do we want that shit? Like, honestly, this is actually my closing remark. I think probably one of the best lines that, like, I run it back every time off Take Care is the purse line off Lord Knows. Do we remember this line?
Which line is this?
It's, if you go to the bathroom, I'm going to go through a purse. I don't trust these hoes at all.
Oh, yeah, Lord Knows.
Ooh. But this brings it back to Take Care 2. After getting a line like that, why the fuck do we want to Take Care 2, man? Like, for real. Like,
you feel me?
But yes, I'm tempting you, Drake. Not sexually, more so just musically.
Yeah. I love it.
Yeah. My closing remark is just it's pretty miscellaneous, but during the if they don't get it, they'll be over you portion, there are layered vocals and accents, which he doesn't do too much of throughout his catalog, like the stacking vocals, harmonizing, and the like. So I feel like that was worth pointing out, because like, you better do what you're supposed to do. He doesn't usually stack things like that, like traditional R&B artists or other artists. Like, so I thought like that got less and less frequent throughout his career. Now it seems like whenever he's singing, it's just a solo track. You know, and you'll get like occasionally like some ambient, you know, crooning or vamping in the background, but like never at the same time as the main vocal. So, you know, that's my final note. What about you, Moles?
I've said it all I need to say about headlines.
Wait, are you now in the camp where it's a 10 out of 10?
No, I think it's a 7+, but I appreciate the enthusiasm. I appreciate you exercising your free speech and coming on this show and telling the world that you think it's a 10.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for inviting me. You know, when we get that new drink tang, please drop me a line.
Word. Absolutely. It's been a pleasure, as the unreleased Drake song once went. Listen,
I must say,
part of the
been
show.
A pleasure.
Yeah. Have you ever seen the what's it called, like Better Than Good Enough, the documentary, like he did with MTV right before Thank Me Later or during the end of Thank Me Later? Like, here's footage of him in the studio, like recording this song or I think it did come out.
I have it.
Maybe, and it was someone else's song. I don't know. He's like, it's been a pleasure. I just want to say it's been a pleasure. You know, when he was still doing like the hyper affected vocals.
Oh, I remember that song.
Yeah, you know, so yeah. This is the part of the show where we like to give you the floor. Anything you want to plug, anything you want to, direct people to, the floor is yours. Our treasured and most appreciated guest.
Oh, nah, I hate when people plug shit. You know, I'm here to plug this podcast. You know, listen to this podcast, rate and subscribe, comment below.
Nice.
My God,
nice. I dig it. But guys, if you want to check out Charles's work, you just go on rollingstone.com, search Charles Holmes, or you can also find him on Twitter at OtterGod. But don't bother him on Twitter. He's dealing with enough as is.
Well, thank you guys. I appreciate it.
Charles, thank you.
Oh, no
buddy.
problem, man. We appreciate you. And listen, from one Drake fan to another, it's always great to have someone here to keep Moles in check. You're invited back anytime. This has been the Moles, Mel, and Charles / OtterGod Headlines Review.
All right. Peace, guys.
Peace.
Yo, it's Mel from Rap Rankings. To hear the full episode this clip comes from and all the other episodes, stop by raprankings.com or search Rap Rankings on your favorite podcast platform.